Now we're joined by Minority Whip Steny Hoyer, a Maryland Democrat I've known many years.
Hi, Christina.
Way back from my time at the Washington Times. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live streaming at rollcall.com. This is
Good
our
to be with you.
first ever
This is
doing
an exciting experience for you and for us.
It is. So.
I thought the president's speech was an excellent speech, and I like the way he talked about, look, don't be depressed, don't be down. We've accomplished a lot. A lot has happened in the last 4 years, 5 years. Jobs have been created. The economy is growing. We're becoming more energy independent. We've withdrawn troops from Iraq.
It's a remarkable difference from where we were a few years ago.
It's just extraordinary. So are we better off than we were 5 years ago? The answer to that is absolutely yes. But he said we haven't done enough. We need to do more. He talked about the investments in health care. We ought to be proud of the Affordable Care Act, the millions and millions of people who have been helped, the young people that have been helped, seniors that have been helped. But then he said, but we need to do more, because we need to make sure that those who are not being advantaged in this economy, those who can't find a job, those who are struggling, need our help. They not only need help in the short term with unemployment insurance, which we ought to restore now. They not only need help with raising the minimum wage to a wage in which they will not be on poverty, although they're working hard a full week. But they also need training. They need education. They need to be given the skills that are necessary in a competitive economy. And then he said at the end, let's work together. Let's work together to get this done. And I think that's what the American people clearly want us to do. But he also said this, and I think this is very important. Look, I was elected president of the United States. I want to work with you. I want to work together. But very frankly, I am not going to sit on the sidelines in trying to get some of the things done I think need being done. If you don't act and you don't work with me, I'm going to act. So he talked about optimism, he talked about opportunity, and he talked about action.
The Republicans that we talked to obviously did not feel like that was a let's work together. They felt like that was a saying, I'm going to act without you. But you've been counting votes for a very long time. When was the last time you can remember a State of the Union address changing anybody's mind on issues like gun control or immigration reform?
Well, you're talking about members of Congress. Yeah. I don't really believe that the State of the Union message changes a lot of minds of members of Congress. But after all, what is our name? Our name is representative. And the minds he really wants to change in a democracy is the people's mind. For instance, he talked about immigration reform, which we think is broadly supported by so many different groups: labor, Chamber of Commerce, farmers, farm workers,
faith leaders,
the faith community, broad, but 70% of the American public as well. Now, we're representatives. Hopefully, those of us who serve in the Congress of the United States will hear the sentiments of our public and represent them. That doesn't mean we'll agree with every part of the constituency. It does mean, however, that when the American public by 7 out of 10 say this is something we ought to get done, when they say with over 60% that we ought to raise the minimum wage so workers who work hard aren't living in poverty, we ought to listen. I think that's what he was saying. And I might say to your comment on the Republicans, I don't think he was saying, I'm going to do it without you. He was saying all of us were elected. He was elected by all the people. We were elected by districts. He was saying, I am not going to be immobilized from addressing the problems that the American people want addressed just because you don't work with me. But the best way for us to do it is to work together.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about 2016 politics. I'm sure you're tired of hearing this, but this is actually not a question about Hillary Clinton. Governor Martin O'Malley, your home state governor from Maryland.
The governor was just standing here.
And this is his final year in office. He delivered his State of the State. He has made a lot of policy choices to sort of lay out a progressive blueprint that could be a foundation for running for president in a primary. Is this something he should do? I mean,
look, I think there are few governors in America any more successful in setting forth an agenda to grow jobs, to grow the economy, to make the environment better, to build infrastructure for the 21st century. I think there are few governors in America that over 7 years have been as successful as Martin O'Malley. I think Martin O'Malley would be an excellent president. I think Martin O'Malley is obviously, this is his last year. He will be looking to what he wants to do next. I think clearly Martin O'Malley is on everybody's short list as presidential possibilities, and I think he'd be a good president. As I've said, I think Hillary Clinton is certainly the odds-on favorite of most Democrats if she runs. I don't accept as a given that she'll run. Frankly, if she doesn't run, I'm going to be a big supporter of Martin O'Malley. I think he'd be an excellent governor.
Well, you heard that here first
president.
At rollcall.com. And before I turn it over to Shira Center back in our office, our politics editor, got to ask you, are we through with the retirements coming from House members now? I mean, do we know what this looks like in the fall now?
Well, we still have time, but I think the answer to that question is I think most members, if they're going to retire, probably have decided to do so by now so that they could give others the opportunity to run and they can give themselves the opportunity to wind down. So I don't expect a lot more. But I will say this. We believe that we're advantaged by about 9-3 or 9-4 on retirements. Republicans, more retirements on the Republican side are running for other offices that we think we have opportunities to win. So on the retirement side, we think we're the ones that have been advantaged so far, although clearly we're very sorry to lose my dear friend, close friend, Jim Matheson, and Jim Moran, and Mike McIntyre in North Carolina. Those are 3 losses for us. But we're going to be very competitive in those seats.
Okay. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on all of it. Thank you so much, House Minority Whip Steny Hoyer.
Thank you, Christina.
Democrat from Maryland. Thanks for joining us. See you at the congressional dinner next week.
Great. Look forward to it.
Great. Thanks. Back to you, Shira.